Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Maybe now I can start being more attracted to homework and math tests. This next speaker is into playing the violin and ice hockey. How cool! Literally. Here to talk about how one can use time and self-reflection in order to harness self-growth, please welcome Christina Bencin.
There are two types of people in this world, those who live to work and those who work to live. Now, as you all may know, that's a pretty famous quote. It just so happens that it's also my favorite quote. It's witty, but also quite powerful. And better yet, it's my personal philosophy. You see, when I first entered high school, I asked myself that question of which person I was to try to define my goals and values. Now this has become more of a daily activity, all because of one day when I had an emotional hijack, a spontaneous moment in which your emotions act as your enemy. So after the embarrassment that the emotional hijack brought, I just went to my room and sat down and thought, do I work to live or do I live to work? I did some goal sorting and rethinking, and that emotional hijack caused by lack of self-awareness and lack of self-reflection did not happen ever again, needless to say. This is just one of the few examples I have of how personal reflection has allowed me to see myself clearer. But don't just take my word for how powerful, how integral personal reflection is in self-growth. According to the Harvard Business Review, research by Giada Di Stefano, Francesca Gino, Gary Pisano, and Bradley Statz in call centers demonstrated that employees who spent 15 minutes at the end of the day reflecting about lessons learned performed 23% better after 10 days than those who did not reflect. A study of UK commuters found a similar result when those who were prompted to use their commute to think about and plan for their day were happier, more productive, and less burned out than those who didn't. At the time that I read this article, due to a lack of self-awareness, and I severely underappreciated self-reflection, as do most Americans. As stated in this scary statistic, Urich's research shows that self-awareness is the foundation for high performance, smart choices, and lasting relationships. It also shows that most people don't see themselves as clearly as they could. Our data reveals that 95% of people believe that they're self-aware, but the real number is 12 to 15%, she says. That means on a good day, 80% of people are lying about themselves to themselves. 80%. Now, chances are you are part of that echelon of people who think that they're self-aware but actually aren't. So how can you practice self-reflection? Combined with an embarrassing amount of personal experience and research, here's a guide to make self-reflection a useful daily tool to help yourself grow from even the roughest of times. First, you must have the discipline to sacrifice a couple minutes of your day. Sure, like me, you might be busy and you might use that to an excuse, but you'd be surprised how many free minutes you have, such as when you're taking a shower, brushing your hair, brushing your teeth, putting on your clothes, or going to bed. These few minutes can really, really help make you a happier, better person, just as they did and are continuing to do with me. Now, during self-reflection, if it's hard for you to reveal the truth to you, or you just want to ease into the reflection, do a quick rundown of your day. Perhaps you had a mishap, like an emotional hijack. Talk about that to yourself. And as hard as it may be, replay that in your mind so you can see and you can understand the mistakes you made, so in the future you don't make the same mistakes. A lot of these emotional mishaps are due to things that we see as issues in our lives and could even uproot deeper meaning behind us acting a certain way. A reason why self-reflection is attributed with self-growth. But as you replay this, it's very, very important not to beat yourself up. Instead, console yourself and use constructive criticism rather than self-criticism in order for you to be the most productive with this. It's the past, you can't change it. And you cannot change the future by being beat up. But if you didn't have a mishap of any sort, just go over the positives of your day, or maybe just look at your goals and values and change if necessary. Personal reflection doesn't always have to be deep. Sometimes it can just serve to be a breather, a planner, or a confidence booster, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to leave you all with one last food for thought. Which person are you? The one who works to live or lives to work? Take that simple question as you will. But I really hope that I can leave that little inkling with you, so perhaps you can reflect and rediscover yourself. Thank you.